We're going to provide this recorded meeting to the City of Franklin Planning Department so that they can post it on the city's website. There will be a link that is created, and if you or your neighbors want to watch the video, if they're not able to attend, you can share it with them once it's posted. It usually takes a couple of days, but we'll get it up. The city will get it up on their website soon. There are several ways you can contact with us tonight. One, simply take yourself off mute if you have a question that you want to ask, and or use our chat bar. We've enabled the chat, so you can open that up and type any questions that you might have on the chat. I'd like to request that you let me make my way all the way through the presentation, and then we'll spend as much time answering questions as needed afterwards. This is a presentation from Franklin 240, the owners of the property at 318 Franklin Road. This property is currently a part of the Factory District. The Factory District was just created in 2024 and is an area in Franklin where the factory is kind of the center. The property that is at 318 is this property all the way to the north. So it's this property right here. And we're going to be talking about it in a little bit more detail, but the Factory District includes everything that you're seeing here in this dark orange color. In the Factory District, it contains a mixture of residential, commercial, light industrial. The vision is to expand on the uses at the factory to the neighboring properties and integrate Harpeth Industrial Court in a long-term vision. The key characteristics of the Factory District include high-quality architecture, plazas, outdoor dining, art, tree-lined streets, and pedestrian amenities. We have outlined the Factory District here in this kind of white dash that wraps all the way up and around. And one of the things that you'll notice about the Factory District here to the south is that Jamison Station lines on Liberty Pike with the 3-story buildings. Behind that are townhomes. Then we have single-family homes as we're transitioning out to the existing neighborhood. In a similar way, along Liberty Pike, Middle 8 has multifamily buildings that then again transition to smaller buildings going to the south. The factory and Harpeth Industrial Court are kind of the spine for the Factory District. Going to the north, then, this undeveloped property, we are looking at it as having transitional elements as well, transitioning to the north. Currently in Envision Franklin for this property, the uses are restricted to only residential. So that would include single-family residential homes, duplexes, townhouses, small-scale multifamily buildings with no more than 12 flats per building, and then accessory dwellings. We are asking the Planning Commission to consider buildings that are similar to the characteristics of Jamison Station, but maybe a little bit smaller, that would offer some commercial uses on the ground floor. Franklin 240 also owns several of the commercial spaces that are in Jamison Station. They're fully leased, fully occupied, and the demand for those kind of smaller boutique, almost like incubator office spaces is in big demand in Franklin. It's very difficult to find that space. I know that you hear that there's an abundance of office space, but that office space that is in abundance is larger square footage, more than what you would be able to get if you were in the ground floor of a Jamison Station building. So a building a little bit smaller scale than what you're looking at here at Jamison, but commercial on the ground floor and then some residential homes above that. And those would be located over here on the right side, backing up to the railroad track and directly across the street for this little center. So this is a concept plan that we're required to put together for an Envision Franklin conversation. The Envision Franklin discussion, again, is just about the policy. It would not rezone the property. It would just establish a future pattern. This hill right here, this was the location of a Civil War garrison. that was established here during the Union control of Franklin. And we believe that there's an excellent opportunity to continue to tell that Civil War story here as it relates to this property and those soldiers that fought on this hill and guarded Franklin Road. You'll notice that the hilltop kind of drops down here and comes back around. This darker line is a protected area. In conversations with the city staff, they've requested that we reroute the road so that it's lower. We're going to move or eliminate some of this residential in the future plan that we're going to be presenting to the Planning Commission and the board and mayor and alderman at the joint workshop. But you'll also notice connectivity. New road from Franklin Road that would connect over to Harpeth Industrial Court. And the city of Franklin has engaged the factory to create a future point of connectivity, ultimately allowing connection all the way from Harpeth Industrial Court through the factory down to Liberty Pike. So creating more connectivity through here to give patrons of the factory and patrons of this area more options instead of having these dead-end kind of cul-de-sac streets like Harpeth Industrial Court. Sorry, my finger stuck. The character that we see for the factory district is very factory-like. It's very 1920s, 30s, 40s factory-style brick buildings, large glass windows, metal frames. Really kind of keeping that character architecturally of the factory itself and of Jameson Station. I think it resonates very well with the intended design of what the factory district would be. This is kind of a village shot showing what it might look like on the village, in the village core, with pedestrian sidewalks, again, a little bit of shopping and or office space on the ground floor with some residential homes upstairs above it. This shows looking back up to the hill, maybe a historic kiosk that talks about the Civil War, the battlefield, and what happened here back in the late 1800s, as well as a little jewel box, maybe that has a little restaurant, cafe, bar, wine store, something like that, that just anchors this northern side of the factory district, really tying in the uses with the factory district to the north and to this open space and hill. So starting from about this point right here, going forward would be open space, really to protect that character and the view shed along Franklin Road. Any new architecture that we would be proposing would be along the railroad track, behind the hill, and protected from view, but would still tie into the roadway infrastructure of Harpeth Industrial Court and to the factory parking lot in the future. Our next presentation is to the Joint Conceptual Workshop, Board of Mayor and Aldermen and City of Franklin Planning Commission on August the 22nd. It's certainly open to the public and we encourage you to attend. And if this tracks forward, it would move to the September 26th Planning Commission meeting where there would be additional discussion and potentially a vote for the Envision Franklin policy. With that, I'd like to turn it over to questions. Again, you're welcome to type those questions in the chat menu and or just take yourself off mute. Happy to talk with you about what we're proposing. Any questions or comments or?
I have a question.
Surely.
Yes. Okay. So I'd like to know, when you're talking about, like we had just discussed, and you were talking about that connection that's going to come off of Ash Drive. Okay. This looks like here that this is just one entryway in, and then you said that it's going to tie into the factory?
Tie into Harpeth Industrial right here. And then we're looking at the best place with Holiday and the factory, the owners of the factory, to create a point of connection for to create interconnectivity through this whole area so that everyone's not solely or 100% reliant on just Liberty Pike or to eliminate the one way in, one way out for Harpeth Industrial Court as well.
So it seems like to me, thank you for that. It seems
Sure.
like to me this is directly across the street from the farm.
Harlansdale's right here.
It's okay, so it's across the street. What are we gonna do if you're planning on doing all this building? What are we gonna do about parking that's gonna go on for the events that we have at the park? Because we have people that are parking all the way at our schools and other public entities that are going on. And what are we going to do about parking for those if we're going to bring more people into these areas and possible residential and all this other stuff we're talking about doing? What are they planning on doing about the parking issues that have been going on when we have the events there?
I'm not sure. That may be a question better asked to the Parks Department. It is Harlansdale is a city park for the region of City of Franklin. I know that on our proposed plan, we are proposing parking lots. This is a 2-level parking deck here, just like at Jameson Station. We're really kind of replicating almost exactly what Jameson Station has, and kind of almost a mirror image north of what's to the south. So very similar in character.
So people that you said that are going to be coming through this new neighborhood that they want to build behind the properties here on Ash Drive. So this is going to be on the other side, connecting in with the hill on the other side of Ash Drive. Is that correct? Or is that going to be protected as a buffer?
There's landscape buffers along the CSX Railroad. There are landscape buffers that are along the north edge of these property lines here. This connection here for that property, it would be located about right there.
So that's going to stop, and that's going to go back out where you have that blue line. It's going to stop and it's going to go back out because that's Ash Drive. So that people in the neighborhood will be able to travel through there. And then that's going to stop. And then you're saying that over here in this new area that we're talking about, that just has that one entrance in and then all the way through to the factory. That doesn't make any sense at all.
It would have all the connections back out all the way to Liberty Pike.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Will the this is in chat, excuse me. Will the project require any additional land acquisition of the surrounding properties, or is all the land for the development already acquired? We are only showing the illustrative plan on property that is owned by Franklin 240. So no other properties are needed for acquisition. Thanks, Luke. Any additional questions or comments? Feel free to type them in chat if you want to, or well, if there are no other questions or comments, thank you all so much for joining us. I appreciate your time tonight, and please follow the public process there at the City of Franklin, August 22nd and September 26th. Thank you all for your time.
I have one more comment. I do apologize. I'm having technical errors and stuff. I'm so sorry, guys.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm freezing up over here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Elaine.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. I do apologize, guys, but this has disoriented me terribly. I'm not a Zoomer, so I don't.
No, I hate it.
Tell you, it's not something I do every day. Anyway, I just totally disagree with it. I don't like the traffic that it's going to bring either. I don't see a need that it would need to be anything there. We have a lot of wildlife and stuff through here, and we want to conserve it. I hear you talking a lot about conserving a lot of the green space and all of that different kind of stuff. But if we're going to build something right there, my whole idea of it would be to build something if you're going to have the park over there and they're going to have the events that we do over there, whether they choose to have the events or not, whichever type of event it is, they need to make sure that there's going to be parking, because I hear a lot of people saying that going down Franklin Road, it's a beautiful parcel of land. It's the main artery of Franklin. It's gorgeous. Coming into all of that, backing into such a small area of downtown, I don't hear anything about conserving anything. And so I just wanted to make that comment. I hope you guys take it into consideration. We, of course, be there in the meeting that'll be coming up soon. So, and that's all I have to say. I've got dinner on, guys, so I have to go.
Sounds wonderful. All right, Elaine, thank you so much for your comments. We appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Unless there are any other final questions, thank you all for joining us.